Hello, everybody. Is Christmas over? Yes. Am I still wearing my Christmas hats? Also yes. Is it because I'm too lazy to fix my hair? Also yes. Roughly 1,000 years ago, when I just started this channel, the very first video I posted was all about why I decided to self-publish my debut novel. And holy shit, people got so mad! The video has since been delisted, not because of the vitriol, I rather enjoyed it, but because after a while the data I listed was no longer relevant. The industry is constantly changing and I didn't want to popularize or provide misinformation. But it's been several years, I have several publications under my belt, and believe it or not, I have been approached by several traditional publishing houses. And I'm still self-published. By choice. So I figured now would be a good time to tell you all why I am still self-published after all of these years. Please note, this is not my attempt to convince you or anyone else to self-publish their book. Obviously, I feel like self-publishing was the superior option for me, but you gotta do what works for you. Hopefully my experience can shed some light on the topic and give you a clearer idea of which path you should go down. And if I piss off a few Karens and Kevins along the way, so be it. Before we get started, a quick announcement. Next month, I will be taking a YouTube hiatus. The last half of 2021 has been a roller coaster. Cliff was hospitalized, we bought a new house, we sold our old house, we expanded the business. It was a lot. Thus, I've decided to take a break, so I won't be filming regular content in January. Instead, I'm going to be focused on writing and self-care. But that doesn't mean I'm leaving you hanging. Instead of posting videos, I will be hosting weekly live streams. Throughout January, I will be coming at you live every Wednesday with writing sprints, Q&A, and special guests. So if you want to hang out with me and my writerly friends, definitely stop by. It's going to be so much fun. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I post new videos on Wednesdays, and if you want to be alerted as soon as I upload, ring that bell. Do it. I know I'm taking a break, but you still want to know when my videos come out. I mean, come on. Help a cyborg out. The Savior's Champion and The Savior's Sister are available in ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook. So if you want to spend all of those bookish gift cards, I know you got Amazon gift cards for the holidays. I know you got Audible gift cards. I know you got Barnes & Noble gift cards. Pick up a copy of The Savior's Champion or The Savior's Sister or both of them. You will be so glad you did. I know what I'm talking about, okay? Now I am breaking down the top 10 reasons why I have continued to self-publish my books, and I will probably keep doing so for the foreseeable future. One quick disclaimer, throughout this video, I will be listing stats and figures that I have uncovered through my research. The tricky thing about stats and figures is that they change over time. Additionally, one person's research is never foolproof, which means your research might yield different results. Which is why I encourage you to do just that, research. Number 1, author interviews. This is the number 1 reason why I decided to self-publish my debut novel back when I was a wee baby writer. I interviewed a bunch of writers who were both traditionally published and self-published. Nearly all of them said, "Don't become a writer, you're wasting your life." It was super uplifting. There were only 2 writers who had anything positive to say. One was self-published, the other was traditionally published. The traditionally published author was an elderly woman. She had been signed with her publishing house for ages, and she was finally able to become a full-time author in her old age. She told me she had been getting the midlist treatment for about 20 years, but after 10 books and a lot of persistence, she was finally able to get enough attention and visibility from her publishing house to make writing her full-time job. On the flip side, the self-published author had done a lot of research into marketing and pay-for-play advertising. He had a professional book cover, he had his book professionally edited, so he was getting pretty good sales off of his first book. He projected that by his 3rd book, which he planned to publish the following year, he could make writing his full-time job. Let's compare, shall we? 20 years and over 10 publications to full-time writing versus 2 years and 3 publications to full-time writing. I was floored that this woman was with her publishing house for 20 years before they started to take her seriously. I'm not waiting 20 years. Ultimately, this sealed the deal for me, and I'm really glad I did those author interviews. Number 2, royalties. Let's look at money, shall we? I'm gonna start with paperback and hardback novels because those are the turds in the punch bowl. A lot of readers don't realize this, but physical books are extremely expensive to produce. There's paper, printing, binding, production, and labor to take into consideration, among a million other things. Because of this, the average author, whether they're self-published or traditionally published, usually gets about 15% royalties for every paperback or hardback book they sell. Self-published authors usually have a bit more wiggle room to make higher royalties, but typically that's if you're writing a shorter book, which is something that I don't do. Additionally, traditionally published authors have to give a cut of their royalties to their agent, so that 15% is gonna get a little bit smaller. However, the biggest royalty difference is in ebooks and audiobooks. Depending on the platform they publish through, self-published authors typically get about 60 to 70% royalties for every ebook they sell. On the other hand, traditionally published authors typically get about 25% royalties for every ebook they sell. As for audiobooks, again, depending on the publishing platform, self-published authors typically make about 40% royalties for every audiobook they sell, whereas traditionally published authors typically make 10 to 25% royalties for every audiobook they sell. This is a huge difference, especially when you consider the fact that ebooks and audiobooks are extremely popular. My ebooks and audiobooks outsold my physical books by 4 times this year. If I had gone traditional, I'd be missing out on a lot of money. And this doesn't take into account the fact that if you go traditional, you have to earn back your advance before you even start making royalties. And many authors never earn back their advance. But Jenna, an advance is guaranteed money. You don't get that with self-publishing. That's true, but based on my research, the average advance, especially for a debut novel, is somewhere between $5,000 to $20,000. But typically it's usually around 10 grand. Keep in mind, this covers 2 years worth of payment. That's 10 grand for 2 years. Or 5 grand a year. Nobody can support themselves off that. Additionally, if you go traditional, your publishing house gets to decide whether or not your book becomes an audiobook. You have no control over that decision, which means you could be losing out on big sales. No matter how you slice it, self-publishing offers a lot more income. Which brings us to number 3. Decision making. The number one reason most writers cite for going with self-publishing is creative control. They don't want a publishing house telling them what to write. However, I am equally concerned about being in control and making my own decisions on a business level. A lot of people want to go traditional specifically so they can avoid making business decisions, which makes sense until you get screwed. The issue is that people are expecting the Stephen King treatment, and they don't realize that 99% of authors are not getting that level of attention. The average traditionally published novel gets retired after 2 years. That means at the 2-year mark, your publishing house is going to stop printing your book, whether you like it or not. Additionally, your publishing house decides when you release, how you release, what your cover art looks like, and what formats you're going to get. Look, if I'm busting my ass to write a book, I want to decide what happens to it. Period. Number 4, you have to market yourself no matter what. I've said this 1,000 times, but for some reason people still don't believe me. Probably because they're stupid. The number one reason people tell me they're going traditional is because they don't want to market their book. Guess what, bitch? You gotta do it anyway. In fact, most publishing houses are not interested in signing writers unless they've already started to build an online presence. They're going to expect you to create a website. They're going to expect you to promote the release. This was a huge eye-opener for me personally. My thought process was, shit, if I have to do the marketing anyway, what the fuck are you here for? Again, your move may vary, but if you expect your publishing house to make you famous, you're an idiot. Number 5, the stats are unreliable. But Jenna, I read that the average self-published book sells less than 100 copies in its lifetime. Yes, but keep in mind, literally anyone can self-publish a book. My 3-year-old niece could scribble on a page, upload it to Amazon, and it would be considered a self-published book. This stat lumps the novice or hobby self-published books with the professionally self-published books. There's no way to separate the legitimate with the not so credible, which makes this stat unreliable. Additionally, the stats for traditional publishing aren't that much more impressive. There are a million figures floating around the internet, but the one that I've seen most common is 250. As in, the average traditionally published book sells 250 copies. No matter which route you go, the stats are abysmal, and that's because it takes a lot of business savvy and know-how in order to make it in this industry. Most writers don't understand the business side of things, and that's why these stats are so low. At least with self-publishing, I'm in control of my own business, which means I can make the sort of decisions that give me the upper hand. Which brings us to number 6, my business background. But Jenna, I don't know anything about business. Okay. But I do. I majored in business with a concentration in finance. I understand money management, opportunity costs, advertising, all that good stuff. That means I already have some understanding of the industry, and anything I don't know, I'm willing to learn. This was a huge advantage for me. Is it an advantage all writers have? No, but this is my list. And keep in mind, all the research I did was on the internet, which means you have access to it too. Long story short, pairing my business background with my research, I realized I had little need for a publishing house. Assuming I wouldn't get the Stephen King treatment, I could basically do everything that they were going to do for me. Number 7, the YA boom. This may not be the case anymore. I've heard there might be a decline in YA printing. Don't quote me on that. But for a long time, YA was the preferred fiction category, so agents and publishing houses were gobbling up as much YA as possible, which is really inconvenient if you write adult fiction like I do. I knew a lot of writers who were querying their books or going through the editing process with their publishing houses, and they were all getting the same feedback. Age your characters down to make it YA, or we don't want it. I don't write YA, I don't read YA, so I had no desire to bend to these particular whims. Number 8, accessibility is about the same. Indie authors have access to professional cover artists and editors with decades of experience. Indie authors can publish their books in ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook. Indie authors can publish their books across all retailers, including Book Depository and Audible. Indie authors can have their books distributed through major distribution chains, like the Ingram Channel. And indie authors can get their books into brick and mortar stores. This wasn't always the case, but it's been this way for a while now. The accessibility for indie books has come head to head with traditional books, which scares publishers shitless. On top of that, in recent years, the consumer market has begun shifting in favor of indie authors, in large part because traditional publishing houses have been too stubborn to acclimate to the new sales environment. All this to say, I wouldn't be surprised if indie became the preferred publishing method. It's already kind of getting there. Number 9, validation is useless. A lot of writers decide to go traditional because they want the validation. They want to be able to tell people, my book was so good, a huge publisher decided to sign it. Sorry, but I can't pay my bills with validation. The taboo against self-publishing is disappearing because, as we already covered, the accessibility is the same. People can't tell the difference between a professional self-published novel and a traditionally published novel. You can pretend you can, but I've seen your book hauls. Your traditionally published books are just as smutty as the indie ones, and a whole lot more toxic. Additionally, getting signed to a traditional publisher doesn't necessarily validate your greatness. Plenty of shitty books get traditionally published. You can keep your validation. I'm good. And number 10, there's only one benefit. After I took all the aforementioned factors into consideration, I could only find one personal benefit for going traditional. They were going to pay for everything. Except for marketing, of course. That's on you, remember? They would pay for my editor, they would pay for my copyright, they would pay for my cover art. It's 100% valid to go traditional to avoid the cost of publishing your novel. From my experience and research, it can cost about $4,000 to publish a quality novel, and not everyone can afford that. But for me, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. I saved my money over time in order to pay for the publication process, and with the increased royalties I get as a self-published author, I am able to recoup those costs and make a hefty profit right away. If I were to go traditional, even with them paying for the cover art, the copyright, the editor, all that good stuff, I would still be making about 10% of what I'm making right now as a self-published author. Yes, self-publishing is expensive, but given the money that I'm making as a self-published author, It's totally worth it, in my opinion. So that's all I got for you today. If your publishing journey looks different than mine, that's great. I don't give a shit. I'm not against going traditional sometime in the future. If a publishing house were to offer me a contract that's better than what I've got going on right now, I would absolutely consider it. But right now, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm supporting my family off of my writing, and I definitely made the right decision for me. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I post new videos on Wednesdays, and if you want to be alerted as soon as I upload, ring that bell. The Savior's Champion and The Savior Sister are available in ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook. They're available at all major retailers, so pick up a copy right now. I know you got holiday gift cards. I know you do. Buy some books. Buy my books. And be sure to follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram, Tumblr, Facebook, and BookBub, and of course you can tweet me at Jenna Moreci. Bye!
Oh, hello there. I'm Layla, and I'm off to a meeting with a senator. While you're here, why don't you subscribe to Jenna's channel and ring the bell? That way you'll always know when her videos go live. It's the perfect distraction. I mean, entertainment. Well, off I go. Ignore the blade. It's just for show. Bye!